G'day geeks, Chris here, and in this video I am looking at two relatively new Masters of the Universe, Masterverse New Eternia action figures. That's a lot of words, but these are the more deluxe versions of Masters of the Universe characters. So we've got a snake and we've got a robot. We've got a Roboto and we've got Cobra Khan, two of my favourites as a kid, and these figures look absolutely deluxe. Let's have a closer look. The new Eternia line is basically updated versions of the classic characters with more deco, more paint deco, more accessories and alternative looks, that kind of thing, like alternative heads and hands. So Cobra Khan and Roboto are two of the classic Masters of the Universe characters. I had both of these vintage toys growing up. In fact, I even had two Roboto figures, which is pretty awesome. I do remember that. I think Mum and Dad bought me one for Christmas, and then I think a year later I got one for my birthday or something from one of my friends. So I had two Robotos, which is pretty awesome. So yes, Cobra Khan, the bad guy here, was showed up in the toy form in 1984, and Roboto showed up in toy form in 1985. Roboto has had a few different origins over the years and the various iterations and mini comics and stuff, but usually he's built by Man-at-Arms as a good guy, and Cobra Khan has also been around for pretty much every iteration of the Master Universe lore as well. But yes, two childhood favourites of mine. Definitely keen to open that up. Let's do that right now. Mattel go all out in their packaging. I always say that in all of these Master Universe, Masterverse reviews. So here we have Cobra Khan with a bit of a hooded look. He does come with that look in package. We've got Tongue Lashaw. He was one of the original figures with an extending tongue. And here we've got Ratlaw, who had an extending neck. And the vintage figure had the rattle in his body, so you'd shake him to kind of make that rattlesnake sound. There's a bit of a bio, which is: the destruction of New Eternia awakened a long slumbering evil as Cobra Khan heralds the return of the Snake Men. Yeah, we've got Hordak and Tila there, also available in this wave. Those are the accessories that he comes with. Very familiar weapons that the vintage figure came with, and a couple of new things as well. So the vintage figure had a little spray misty kind of function where you'd take his head off, I think, fill him with water, press his head down, and he'd spray a mist. So I love that the vintage figures have all those wonderful action features. This doesn't have that, but it has a nice nod to it with a little plug-in mist effect. More wonderful artwork on the side. It'd be great if we could get an art book with all this wonderful stuff. Otherwise, yeah, I'm just kind of keeping cardboard, and it takes up a lot of space eventually when you've got as many figures as I have. As I said, this is from the Masterverse line with 30 points of articulation. Another awesome subline from the Mattel's Master Universe. Enough chitter chatter, let's check out Cobra Khan. This is what he looks like straight out of the box, but don't throw the cardboard away, because you'll see on the side there it says open, and that's where all the accessories are, and a wonderful picture inside so you know what you're getting. So yes, let's open him up even more. This is what the little baggie looks like. So just tear the top off and all the accessories are inside, including the gun, which looks very familiar to the vintage gun, but just a bit more details. Still same color and all that as the vintage one, you'd remember. This is an extra chest piece, I believe. A couple of different lobster like hands, which a lot of the evil warriors from Skeletor's side of things have, and they've got hinges on them, which is fabulous. So yes, you can give him kind of the claws or the more human hands with the fingers. The mist feature, which is a bit translucent, which is lovely, you can see. So that's cool. And lastly, that's the hood, which goes on the back of his neck, which you can see on there. So there's no instructions, you just kind of got to figure it out, but some pretty cool accessories. I love the kind of pearlescent sheen that he's got on him. It's pretty cool. The vintage figure didn't have that, but he's got this familiar brown and greens with a few extra details, as I said, because that's what the new Eternia figures are like. He's got the wonderful hinge on his jaw there, which is great. And yeah, very pearlescent, a nice look. He's got the three kind of copper stripes, which again the vintage figure had. So ticking all those design features that the original one had, but obviously with updated articulation, as we can tell. So very much a lot more poseable. Well, this figure's still a bit stiff, but yes, I mean, might need to heat up the joints just to kind of there we go. But yes, double jointed knees, and move of the ankles. The wrists are removable as well, and that means you can basically just plug in the extra claws like so. So yes, slightly different green colour from the rest of his body, you can see. Oh, it looks like the braces are removable as well, so you could probably plug them straight in. This might actually be on the wrong one, might be on the wrong wrist. That's why I've had a hard time getting it in. Let's try this one instead. Okay, that's a bit easier. So yes, if you want to give them different looks, you certainly can. But yeah, so far, straight out of the package, it's pretty cool indeed. It actually kind of works because the lighter grey kind of transitions into a darker grey there, so it actually kind of works with the claws, and as you can see, he can hold both the weapons. It's pretty cool that the open claws have little ridges in there, you can see, so it's not smooth, so it just gives something else to grip onto, and he can hold both weapons pretty easily, which is cool. And as I said, he's kind of got the mist feature there as well, so you'll see a little hole there, and that's where that basically plugs in. No, Chris, the other way. So yeah, it doesn't have the spray feature that the vintage figure had. I can see that's a very particular way that has to go in. Okay, I might have to have a bit of a play with this. Oh, there we go. So yeah, that looks pretty cool. So he can open his mouth and spray like he's doing on the back of the box, so that's pretty cool. And I like the details there as well. We've got the pink, the paint on the white as well, and his eyes are painted as well, kind of this again, kind of this pearlescent look on his eyes, so I love the attention to detail. This chest piece here can actually come off as well, so if you don't want him to have the Snake Man logo, you can make him a bit more generic. His head is removable as well, if you want to swap that with another figure. It's got a simple ball joint, and again got the little scales on the neck, which is cool. Easy enough to pop on, and you'll notice that this is a trigger finger with a trigger. So I don't think the vintage figure, the gun that it came with, had an actual trigger. It's just like a stick for a handle rather than an actual trigger, and it can hold the weapons obviously very easily. And if you just want to remove the kind of Snake Man logo, easy enough to pop off, and then you can just kind of put this one back on to give him a slightly different look. And you'll notice it's a different color, different shade of green, but there's 2 or 3 or 4 or more different shades of green on this guy, so that's not a problem at all. The rubber kind of leafy almost crotch piece here is pretty flexible, so that'll get out of the way. And he's got some no, he doesn't have any undies underneath, you naughty cobra. And a lovely design on the belt there as well, with a bit of an open cobra face. So far so good. Mattel have done a great job of blending in all these kind of different looks for Cobra Khan here. So yes, even with that being a different swappable piece, it doesn't like stand out. There's no like levers or obvious tabs. It all kind of sits flush and is pretty cool. And that's the same for the back, because you might be wondering, well, how do I get this big Cobra hood on him? I can't see. At first I thought it was maybe one of these pieces, but no, it's actually on the back of his head here. And yes, you just got to pull that out like so. And this has a tab. Again, there's no instructions, but you just kind of got to figure it out. And it just clips on the back and just kind of goes flush. So it's only one point that it kind of clips in. Just press it down firmly, and yeah, it gives him a totally different look, which the vintage figure didn't have. So you open the mouth, you put in the spray, and he definitely looks like a hissing cobra. So pretty cool. So it's wonderful that he has all these different looks, especially with the different logos and all that kind of stuff. Different weapons, different hands. I love the pearlescent shine, and it's not all just one green, they've really gone all out with the updated design and paint choices. So I love this figure. Another heavy hitter from the New Eternia line from Mattel. From a snake man to a mechanical man, Roboto was also, as I said, one of my favourites growing up. So he has appeared in pretty much all of the different iterations over the last 40 years of the Masters of the Universe, and he's showing up in the June live-action Masters of the Universe film, voiced by Kristen Wiig, which is an interesting choice. So the first time, I think, with a female voice, and obviously you would have seen Roboto in the trailer. He looks a bit hulking and more menacing. But yes, very cool. Obviously the vintage figures action feature was that he had a turning gears inside him, and this certainly seems to replicate that. And like Trapjaw, he had a few different mechanical weapons and tools that he could replace on his arms, so pretty cool. So yes, here we have Roboto. Wonderful card art as always. As I said, we've got Skeletor lurking in the background and he's fighting some kind of rock golem creatures. Turn it around and we've got Roboto in all of his transparent glory, and he's actually got a twist on the back this time to make the gears turn, which it looks like. And a bit of a different bio. So it says Skeletor stole away with Man-at-Arms' latest creation, Roboto. Using his diabolical havoc magic, Skeletor reprograms the artificial intelligence to do his evil bidding. I don't like that. Roboto's now a bad guy. Oh dear, he's always been a good guy, but interesting that they're kind of reimagining the lore as well with these New Eternia figures. And obviously on the back we've got King Randor and Beastman, also from the New Eternia line. And wonderful card art there just on the side. In fact, I'll bring up the Cobra Khan picture as well. Just look how glorious they look side by side. You can imagine if you had all of these boxes lined up, that would just look fabulous on the shelf. So as I said, I certainly hope they do release an art book. That would be wonderful. But yes, let's open up Roboto. I love the attention to detail that Mattel have. So Cobra Khan had a red cardboard insert. Roboto has blue, so it's cool that they look different. And obviously don't throw the cardboard away, because just like Cobra Khan, on the side he's got his different accessories and such. So you just open it there. There's a little baggie inside, the paper bag with all the goodies inside. So he comes out with this little spinning axe, which is cool, straight out of the box. Lovely. And obviously you can see there the contents, but also on the side here that his visor or his mouth guard or whatever can change, as well as the implements and tools and weapons. So yes, there's your basic instructions, I guess. And here's the baggie, just like Cobra Khan. And then we take it out. Is that ASMR? I don't know. Is that noise relaxing to anybody? And he's got quite a few accessories in there. So we've got the little claw hand, which is awesome. And again, there's a little hinge. That's pretty awesome. And these are just very, very detailed. I love that. It certainly looks mechanical, very detailed. He's got his aforementioned kind of red mouth guard. Looks like the front of a steam train or something. So he can give his head a couple of different looks. And this is in black rather than grey, but it's actually pretty hefty as well. So that can just plug in. The plug-in port is grey. That looks like a welder blowtorch kind of thing. I don't think there's any effects to go on the top of that, but maybe you could plug something in from another figure. So yes, pretty cool accessories for Roboto. Just having this in my hand just makes me so happy. I feel like a 10-year-old again. They've got all the colours and everything. I remember the kind of purple jocks, the red thighs, all of that. Just the blues and the reds and the silvers. Just so many colours on Roboto, but he certainly works. This makes me very happy, very nostalgic. As I said, they've really just brought a nostalgic flavour, but also bringing an update. So as you can see, pretty detailed and very similar articulation. Got the double jointed elbows. The hands are removable, as I said. Head moves, yep, and probably can be taken off as well, I'd imagine. Yep, a ball joint as well. And yes, the wrist, the hands move. The knees are double jointed as well, yep, which is great. Again, pretty stiff, but that's okay. And the wrists, the ankles move as well. So no, he doesn't move forward, obviously, because he's got this big chest piece. And you can see there's certainly gears just like the vintage figure had. And the way to move those is this little knob on the back, and it's very fluid actually. Like, it's very easy to move, very fluid. You can see there's a couple of different, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 different cogs, all turning, all different colours, just like the vintage figure. Absolutely wonderful. I don't have the vintage figure. I said I had 2 as a kid. I don't know where they're gone, but this is the Masters of the Universe Origins version of Roboto. And yes, he does look a bit different because here he is in his mini comics colours. So the version that originally appeared of Roboto in the mini comics that came with the figures was these colours, not the reds and the blues that we accustomed to. And he didn't have a button on the back, just like, or a dial, just like the vintage figure. This was a waist kind of movement, and you can see his mouth, I guess, moves, and the gears move there as well inside of him. So yes, if you wanted the gears to move, you had to move the waist, so they've done away with that in here, and they've put the dial on the back, which is a good improvement, I reckon. Looking at Roboto's accessories, let's start with the mouth, or the frontispiece. Some people say that that front bit looks like a tongue, like he's poking his tongue out, but yes, so you can just remove that, and he's got two, and it's pretty cool that they're matching the colours, so that looks like his thigh colour, and the other one, which is right here, that's the colour of his undies, that more rich burgundy colour, which is great. And before I clip that on, just look at that head sculpt, and you'll see that he's actually got teeth, so he looks like a bit of a Terminator. So a nice touch there. They didn't have to do that, but they actually gave Roboto teeth with those blue eyes. It looks like a scary Terminator, doesn't he? And just the details on this figure with the pipes and the slightly different elbow pads and all the little details going here and everywhere, and even inside you can see the transparent torso, which is lovely. Anyway, a lot of details on this figure. They didn't have to do that, but it's nice that they did. Even a bit of a silver brain, I guess, of sorts, which is lovely. So yes, the other one, just a couple of pins there and ports there, and that just clips on, and that, I guess, looks more like the kind of traditional one that we're used to. There we go. So not a bad look at all. And yes, the lovely blue eyes as well. And both arms, both hands can pop out, and you can put the different weapons in as well. So they just pop out. They've got all the same ports as all the Masterverse figures, and obviously they just pop straight in. So you've got the spinning one, and that's got a bit of you know, nicks and dents and stuff, which is cool. Lovely. So he's got that weapon, and that comes out. He's got the claw, just like the Inspector Gadget bad guy, and that's got a hinge as well, so we can grab whoever. You can grab Cobra Khan around the neck potentially, and that comes out. And then the last accessory he comes with is the little blowtorch or whatever, and I guess really this is the only weapon. I know the vintage Roboto came with a gun. It's interesting that he actually doesn't come with a gun. I guess you could interpret this as a gun, but anyway, so yeah, he's really just got, you know, some close combat weapons, I guess. And just out of curiosity, this is the Cobra Khan Mist, and it doesn't really, kind of plugs in. It almost looks like a Ghostbuster 2 slime blower, but yeah, it falls out. It's not meant to stay in there, but nevertheless, cool accessories for Roboto. Mattel did say at the New York Toy Fair, which is held in February this year, that they are really going to focus all of their action figure products this year on all the movie figures, which is the action figures for the adult collectors as well as the kids, which will be available at retail, hopefully everywhere, and they look pretty awesome from the pictures that they've unveiled so far. So the Master Universe film figure lines will be the focus. So Masterverse, which these two figures are from, are taking a bit of a pause, but that's okay because these two figures are great, and I've actually got another 3 figures sitting behind me to still review. So yes, I'm very happy with Roboto here and Cobra Khan, and I did realise as I kind of put them together on this spinning podium that Cobra Khan's Mist also fits in his gun, which is a nice touch. And just the details of Roboto with all the gears and the different colours and the lovely pearlescent shine, and the same with Cobra Khan. He's got like snake heads and snake symbols scattered all throughout his body, and his uniform, his costume, which is absolutely amazing. So I love the accessories, the articulation, and the attention to detail. Definitely nostalgic with the nods to the vintage figures and characters with some modern updates for sure. So these are the best looking versions of these characters, I reckon. Very happy to get these. So thank you for watching all the way to the end. Do you like either of these figures? Were they your favourites growing up? And will you get Roboto or Cobra Khan here? Let me know down below, and I'll catch you in the next video. Goodbye, geeks.